Hello and welcome to CivilNet. We have the honor of hosting Dr. Roger Ohanesian here in the studio. Dr. Ohanesian, as many of you know, is responsible for the Armenian EyeCare project, and he's here to talk about 20 years of service to Armenia and how it all got started. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thanks for enjoying.
Before we talk about the successes, let's go back to '91 and how this whole process began with you in Armenia.
Well, actually, it was 1992, September 1992. I'd received a letter from a colleague asking me if I would go on a trip to Armenia. It was from it emanated from the foreign secretary here in Armenia. And at that time, the country was at war, and things were really quite poor. A lot of the doctors were taking part in the war, and the hospitals were overrun, and just not the normal diseases that happen from 300,000 of nearly 3 million inhabitants, as well as the different things that would happen from war efforts. So they were asking for general surgeons, for neurosurgeons, and I received this letter and felt that I had to do something. And I received it on a Thursday and made arrangements on the Friday to come to Armenia. And again, not knowing where it was, didn't require any, did I require a visa, whatever thing. I asked Harut Sasunyan for help, and he advised me as the way to be able to get over here and help.
Did you know what the situation was, what the needs were with EyeCare here in Armenia at the time?
Not a bit. I didn't know what I was going to experience. I assumed that the equipment was not as good as the equipment that we have in America, but I really had no idea nor concept of how bad things were.
And when you came, what did you do? What did you have to do?
I met with the doctors that were from the various hospitals that were here and gravitated toward the ophthalmology, of course. I came with Sarkis Sukiasyan, who also received the letter and also came. The two of us went to the Malayan Eye Hospital and started to work, see patients, and perform operations alongside with the doctors that were here. It was astounding to find that really the microscopes it's not so much that they didn't function, it's just that a bulb may have gone from one of the microscopes and they couldn't be replaced. That electricity, as everyone knows, was limited to 2 hours a day. Water was, again, limited. It was difficult to perform the surgeries, and also the equipment that we had was not very good shape.
Is that how the Armenian EyeCare project was born?
Well, it wasn't born. It was one of those things where I looked and felt that I didn't know what to do, but I knew if I came again that at least I could perpetuate and begin to see what things are needed. And I decided to do that.
And on your second trip, what was your game plan? How would you address all these needs that were here in country?
I think that's always the important thing, because there have been many trips that I'd been to and been to other countries and so forth to help out and do missionary work, but I never went again. I mean, there were schemes in place and managements and schedules that were necessary. But in Armenia, what I found was this was one that we were going to, if anything was going to be done, it was going to have to be self-motivated. And when I came again on the second time, I realized some of the things that were necessary. So I started collecting equipment and medicines and brought it over with me. Each time I came then, from that point on, I realized that it needed to be something on a 6-monthly basis because the needs were so great. And the interim time, what I would do is spend time talking to my colleagues and see if I could get more equipment and medicines that were needed. And that just continued on, actually, until present time.
For 20 years now,
yeah.
You've got some astounding numbers to share with us as to how many lives you've touched here in Armenia.
It really, it's been a labor of love, and I must tell you is that it's not me. I'm the face of it, but the truth of the matter is there's so many doctors who have come over many, many times, and many people that are over here who really were so instrumental in allowing the Armenian EyeCare project to be successful. The doctors over here, you can't believe how well they adapted and adopted some of the principles that we've asked for, and the methods of treatment. Many times very different from what they were doing, but ones where we had recognized that it was successful if this method or that method was to be done.
And the patients that you've seen so far over the course of the past 2 decades?
About 10 years ago, we realized that the capital was doing well, but the Marses, the more distant Marses, were not. And as a friend of mine said, if you go 50 miles out of Yerevan, the quality of care drops precipitously. By that point, we had had several doctors that we brought to America for training, and they came back over and started clinics themselves and started to teach others. We provided them with the equipment that they needed, so when they came back, they could hit the ground with both feet running. They have the equipment that they needed and everything that they had had over in America, but they now have over here in Armenia. So the capital was doing well, but they were 2/3 of the country lives in the hillsides, so it was necessary to do something. We started first with bringing other doctors from Yerevan to the more distant regions, but without the equipment, they couldn't do anything. It was like giving pilots bicycles to ride around in. They needed the equipment. We couldn't afford to buy equipment for every single region. So what we did is we did the next best thing, and that was to build the mobile eye hospital. And that made a very big difference. Then we were able to go around and, as Alex Malayan said, reduce the increasing wave of blindness that Armenia was having. We've been now 5 trips going around, 5 rotations around the country over the past, usually it takes a 2-year span. Over the past 10 years, we've gone around the countryside and have performed 350,000 screenings on patients. We've performed another 30,000 surgeries and another 20,000 lasers on board this mobile eye hospital that we have that has 2 exam rooms and an operating room. Asatur Hosepian has been fantastic. He's been someone who has kept that facility running and has kept all the equipment working. The only thing that we've had to replace in 10 years has been the tires to this mobile eye hospital.
It's an impressive trailer truck, huge in size.
It is. And all these procedures that are done on the mobile eye hospital are done at no cost. These are patients who fall into the level of poverty and basically cannot afford to even the amount of money it would take to come to Yerevan where they could get the surgery for free. So bringing the hospital, that's mobile eye hospital, to them has really been fantastic.
And how do you foot the bill for this? How do you pay for it?
I have to tell you, is that the diaspora has been tremendous, and the U.S. government has also been terrific. They have provided us with grants that allow us to be able to provide the monies for this. Plus, there have been certain individual companies and corporations that have provided large amounts of money to us. There's on the back of the truck, we've enumerated those people who have been truly very big givers in order to be able to get the mobile eye hospital going. And the surgeons from America who come over twice a year, we don't do the surgery. It's the Armenians that do the surgery. They're thrilled to do it and to be part of a system where they're helping their own countrymen.
Wow, I mean, to touch the number of lives that you have with the surgeries, and from basic eye checkups to having surgery inside that truck must be an enormous challenge, especially when it's wintertime. Does the truck work throughout the year, or are you...
There are certain months of the year they don't work. It's certain places the roads are impassable. And so, no, we're not going to put lives at risk with this massive truck. It's a huge 18-wheel truck. It's got a generator on it because there are some times that they need to go into places where there's not enough electricity. So this facility is self-contained.
And on surgery days, how many staffers do you have to be part of that outreach? How many have to be there to perform the surgeries and help surgical procedures?
That's above my pay grade.
Okay.
Nune Yegiazarian, who is our executive director here in Armenia, knows all that information. They've been able to, and this is what I mean, this has been so great about it, is that it's truly Armenians helping Armenians. They are the ones that we've started the ball rolling, but they've kept it going and have advanced and improved upon the situations. The doctors that we've brought over from Armenia to train in America have come back and are training others. I have brought Americans over, some consultants from Americans who are top academics, and they've, to a man, and woman, they've said how impressed they are with the doctors that are over here. One doctor said, he said, "My God, these people humble me because they're so informative. They understand, they read, and they become themselves a tremendous source of education." And that's the other thing that they'll do. There is further education going on of the younger doctors that are coming in. We have education center, and we even have a wet lab, which is a place where it's surgical training. It's a thrilling program, and as I say, it's mainly been through the doctors that are here and my staff, Nune Yegezarian and her group, that have suggested the next directions that we should go.
And all this wouldn't have happened until you had set the wheels in motion, so thank you to you for all the work that you do.
I'm thrilled.
And you continue the outreach in the diaspora. We get letters and updates from the organization, and we're happy to support it. There's a website where folks can find out about the EyeCare project. It's eyecareproject.com.
Yes.
And how can people help?
Well, you know, I often thought, well, that now we've been able to take care of the people in the capital, we've been able to take care of the people in the regions, and just about the time that you think that things are going along terrifically well, then some of the doctors will come up and say, "Listen, there's another area that needs help." That happened with the retinopathy of prematurity program.
Which is?
It's a children that are born prematurely. Can have a very big problem with their blood vessels that aren't mature. And as they pass through maturity, as they pass through certain weeks of gestation, of development, they will form along the outside of the retina in a very orchestrated way. This is going to happen whether they're born, whether or not they're born prematurely, or if they're still within the womb. The difference is there's certain metabolic items that they need. There's certain types of oxygen and certain types of nutrients that they need. When they're outside the womb, these sometimes don't happen. And their blood vessels, instead of growing on the outside of the retina, start to grow in toward the middle, intermingle and burst and bleed and rip off the retina for them never to see again. A thrilling thing for me has been this retinopathy of prematurity program. Meher Yepremian met me at one of our meetings in America, and spoke about the retinopathy of prematurity. I told him we had already addressed that problem because we had one of the doctors that we brought over, but I said she needs further education and equipment. So Meher introduced me to Tom Lee. Tom Lee is a Korean American who is the head of Children's Hospital Vision Services in America at one of the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles, one of the biggest children's hospitals. He then agreed after a little while to come to Armenia and has given lectures in 2010. Since that time, we have performed evaluations and treatments, and there have been 60 children, 60 infants, premature children, kids that are just born, who've received a vital treatment with laser because they were identified as having this horrible disease that blinds both eyes in their first weeks and months of life. So they're never ever to see again throughout their entire life. If they can be caught early, then it can be prevented. There have been 60 kids who have never ever lost vision. They've now to the point where these kids have got sight. They'll never know who did it. They'll
It's a
never
priceless
know.
gift.
Oh, it chokes you up. It's just so amazingly emotional. It just creates a problem that these kids are going to live to see the year 2100. And they're really going to see the year because of these doctors who came over in 2010.
Because you've given them collectively the gift of sight.
It has really been a fantastic program. We are now, the other aspect of it is it continues to go on. We've now got a telemedicine unit that is connected to Children's Hospital. They are giving free of charge, they're giving these telemedicine lectures to our the doctors in our neonatal and our children's hospitals over here. And that's phenomenal. This is the greatest education that they can give to us, the greatest gift they could give to us. And it's ongoing. They're doing it now in pathology, and it's not only in ophthalmology that they're doing it in all of pediatrics. And wish to be able to improve it and increase it so it becomes further in adult medicine as well. They are using Armenia as a model to other countries. These are doctors that talk all over the world. And when they go, they talk about how well it's adapted in Armenia and how the Armenians have now taken over this to perform the screenings and the lasers and the treatments so that they're as educated now, as this doctor said to me, they're as educated as we are. It is phenomenal. And again, this is the excitement. However, all of these projects, all of these things that we've done need money. And the diaspora has been very kind to us to provide us with sums of money so that we can continue on with this.
We're grateful for all that you do and all of your colleagues and even the doctors with Children's Hospital giving attention to us and helping us educate the rest of the world with the practices. Thank you very much.
Well, it's my pleasure. And I must tell you is that the doctors in America have been thrilled with the doctors in Armenia who have picked up this mantle and run with it. And they've done a great job. The next thing that we've been asked to do is to produce 5 regional centers. And that's our next project. That too is going to require additional sums of money. But nonetheless, if we look back at what we've been able to do through our experience, this is yet one more project that we'll have to do.
Nothing is impossible. Dr. Roger Ohanesian, thank you very much for your time and for your attention to Armenia and all of our patients.
It's been my pleasure.
And thank you at home for joining us on CivilNet.